Hey guys, how you doing? So, wow, I'm almost out of my breath because I'm so excited, about the things that I want to talk about today to you. I want to pass this, what could I say? My thinking, perspective that may be a little bit different than, the majority of people nowadays agree with. Of course, I gotta be edgy as usual. However, not really. What I will discuss is what I learned while working in the Hollywood industry, being on all sorts of sets, like hundreds if not thousands of sets during my years as being a professional extra, professional background actor and stand-in, and also having some smaller roles in or principal roles in independent projects, independent smaller movies, films, whatever, from independent productions. Now, I have been on sets. I will tell you how this ties into what's happening right now in the media with these scare tactics about the virus, the diseases, highly transmittable, I think, highly transmittable, I don't know if that's the word, but yeah, viruses, right? Bacterias, bacterial infections of people's immune systems. Now, okay, I've been on sets, right, where, you would see certain actions, certain elements, in the set itself, how it's being built, by who built it, how they were actually doing it, how they, collaborated with each other, different fields, right? The camera people, then the props people. Props are the people that actually take care of the actual physical objects that are part of the set that people use to make the characters more real, right? So you can relate to them, so you can relate to the actual real world, right? So I've seen from the bottom up to the very top, the production people who have nothing to do with building anything but just sitting around making sure that their money goes, where they wanted it to go and to be spent efficiently and, objectively to reach a certain goal. You! It's always you. They always want to reach you. You see what I mean? They always want to reach inside your head, plug you into their reality that they're offering, and make you feel it, make you relate to it. Some more successfully, some less successfully. But as we know, Hollywood does that to its perfection, right? So all the movies that come out of Hollywood, they strive to plug you into their reality so that you can feel what their reality that they're offering, that they're presenting to you as being real, right? The world that they're portraying, that you experience in the hour and a half to 2 hours, nowadays even 2.5 hours of being your world, because they pull you into their world, right? So the whole everything they're doing is basically making sure that that goal gets where it's supposed to be, so reaching you again. Now, I have seen things, I have seen sets, I have seen acts, I have seen actors and actresses portray and execute, even myself among them, portray certain things and fit into certain moments, certain scenes and sequences that, you saw them, or I saw them being built, I saw them being put there, I saw them interacting, actors and actresses interacting with those environments, with those worlds, right? And so a lot of the times, I'll tell you, they looked very raw, very like, oh, how would they do that, right? I mean, how would they make this look like what they're telling me that it's gonna look like at the end, or that they, that it was projected to look. So I would be there, witness the entire process from almost zero. Sometimes I haven't seen everything, how it's being built, but I got there and it was there, and I could tell, go behind a wall, see there's nothing behind the wall, there's just some sticks supporting it, there's no real tree, it's just a fake tree, and then there's a fan, and then the fan is blown onto the tree, and in the movie you see a house that has a window, a couple arguing, and behind them it's the factor of reality, right? Because the tree is moving, right? As if there's a tree outside and there's atmosphere, the wind, and like a normal world, right? Because outside in the world barely anytime things stay still. So with that being said, that's only one simple element of what Hollywood uses to make you believe that you're in an actual reality, that it's happening and that everything is real in there, right? So they gotta give you many things that you can relate to from your everyday life. Now, I was gonna skip something. So when I saw these things being done, being performed, and then caught on camera, I have seen many times, because it's close to the production in many ways, because of what my roles were, I was very close to the production, so I could actually see the raw footage that they captured. And then I would wait until the release date and then watch it on TV. And I was like, whoa! Sometimes I asked them, I said, okay, so if you're gonna have these here and you're, I don't know, shooting like a small tiny plane, but you're gonna make that plane look like it's an actual plane somewhere on parked or whatever, how is that possible? How is this? And they said, oh, like this, like that, and to the software and this and that and blah blah blah, whatever way. And I was like, wow, that's I'm really interested to see the final product. So I watched it on TV whenever it came out, and my mind was blown. Honestly, my mind was blown how real something that was in reality when I was there, so basic and basically so stupid looking, right? Which you would think like, that's never gonna convince people. Yet it does, because once it's on the big screen, people look at a final product and they say like, wow, and sometimes you don't say wow, sometimes you're accepting it, subconsciously as part of the reality. With that reality, they're taking you places and they make you believe certain things. So it's all made believe, right? So you see these things, like, let's say, okay, there's one example, right? I went through the, one day, one of many days anyways, I worked in this, Universal Studios in Hollywood, right? So because somebody needed to transport us from the top to the bottom, and they were still working on the set up at the top of it, we had to get onto one of those buses that are usually used for tours, touring Universal Studios. So people that are the guides, they talk to people and they show them while they're passing certain sets from the history, from the past, that were used in many other movies before, and they explain certain things about them, certain interesting things, right? So one of the interesting things was that a lot of people thought that John Wayne, right, was like this big guy, who had to always go underneath the door frames to get into a house or come out of the house, because he was so big, because the size matters, and the size, sometimes signifies the importance, right? So he was this big bad guy, everybody had to be scared of. In actuality, John Wayne was actually short, and so they had to move the door frames really low so that when he was on set, it would look like he was so tall, he always had to, duck down to get through that door, right? In or out. So that's one funny thing, right? You see, that's just a small thing, but then, I've noticed and witnessed like really complex production that involves CGI, that's the programming on the computers, renditions of videos of, that they capture on the actual set, and then they change a lot of things. Sometimes I would ask, oh, but what about that stuff? Don't you, you can see that background in the camera, so how are you gonna, that's very obvious where this is shot. They say, oh, that stuff, that's no problem. We will just remove this guy and we're gonna replace it with something else. I was like, really? Like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. And so these are simple things, and there are much more complex projects I was on. And notice how things change and how awesome they become once they actually finish them and put them together and then, you know, sell them out to the public so that the public gets plugged into that reality. Now, imagine, okay, we would be very, very dishonest, listen, very dishonest, if any one of us claimed that we never, in our daily lives, that we never manipulate anybody. We're all manipulators in this life. This is the whole point. Our existence in this life is very selfish. It's a very selfish one, and we always manipulate somebody to a certain degree so that we can get what we want or that we can feel better about our own existence. Okay? Many times I manipulate you for my own reasons to stay here and watch me and listen to me. I'm not saying those reasons are really bad or sinister or evil. I'm not saying that, but I do manipulate people just like other people try or attempt to manipulate me. Sometimes that's more successful, sometimes that's less successful. What does that really rely on? How is that dependent? It's dependent on resources, and first of all, it's dependent on knowledge. Knowledge of self, knowledge of psychology and programs of this reality, right? So now, why is it so mind-blowing, you know, and so impossible that a certain, you know, current situation is nothing but a mind manipulation of the masses? Why is that so weird? Why anytime anybody mentions anything like that, people go like, oh, you're so paranoid. Oh, ha, 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 yeah, you're so important. Of course they're gonna do that to you. Who do you think you are? They don't give a crap about you, right? These are the stories a lot of times, and people say like, you know, oh, you're one of those, you know, oh, tinfoil hats, right? You know, conspiracy theorists. Oh, boo hoo hoo hoo. Wow, that's really impossible. Let's see. So intelligence itself really serves to manipulate and subdue what it governs. What does it govern? In actuality, it actually governs its own projections or its own versions of itself that are, you know, spread out from itself. So is that really weird? Imagine if you were in that, you know, position of knowledge that you would completely understand the psychology of humanity and its fears, which means you would have to understand yourself, which means you're not stupid, you're not just greedy, you just happen to know, or somehow you have that understanding, and so you have certain wealth, you have a certain position in the society, and you want to keep it that way. Why would you give it away? Why, if your life is comfortable, let's say there's, you know, a certain amount of people on this earth that live very, very comfortable lives. Now, why would they want to change that? And be like, you know what? From tomorrow on, I'm going to empty my bank account and go sleep on the street. I don't know, in a cardboard box or a tent. And struggle every day where I will be able to, will I be able to have a phone? Will I be able to be connected to the world in many advanced ways? Will I be able to shit somewhere, pee, take a shower? What am I going to eat? How am I going to buy that? Right? Why would I do that? Where I can have, you know, my own personal jets, my own, I can skip all the lines of all the airports. I just contact my personal pilot and say, hey, in 2 days, I want to fly to Costa Rica. Make that happen. File the, file with the whatever air, association. Tell them that's where you're going to fly, get a permit, and we're gone. I don't want to go into a line of a bunch of people, drag my suitcase. I don't even want to carry my suitcase. I want somebody else to carry my suitcase, but I want everything to be ready. I don't even want to pack my own stuff. I'm going to call my assistant and be like, hey, that's where I'm going, that's what I'm going to be doing, so I need this, and whatever, you think should fit there. I just come. I come on board on my plane, board the plane, boom, get dropped in Costa Rica with all my stuff, and enjoy myself. Why would I want to change that? So now if I don't want to change that, I have to use all my resources, which I have a lot if I'm in that position, and my intelligence, which if I corroborate with enough people who are like me and want to stay there, so that we keep that. In order for us to keep that, we have to scare the shit out of a whole lot of people so they can do everything what we're going to tell them to do. Alright? Is that impossible? Is that really that impossible? You know? Is that even evil? Think about it. Is it really evil? Or is it just a human need, you know, for comfort, for convenience? I mean, are you really doing it to really, really hurt somebody? I mean, you're not really going out there, you know, and stabbing people. I don't want this guy to be here because I want to be, pam, pam, pam. I'm going to kill them, you know. I don't want them anywhere near. No, they can have their own world. Why not? I mean, they can sleep in the tent in the street. They can be stuffed in a tiny little box called apartment for like $3,000 a month. I mean, what do I care? That's their life. Mine is nice, right? So if you have all these resources, and if you are one of these people, and there's a group of them, then you get together, and if you, with enough funds and enough knowledge, technological knowledge of people that you can easily pay, make a beautiful movie, convince people that these actors and these actresses were at this place and these things happened, and it was so amazing. You cried. I mean, you cried your eyes out. You know, your heart almost, you know, was torn apart. And then on the other hand, you laughed. It was like funny as hell, right? I mean, oh my God, it was the best movie ever. You really enjoyed it. You go buy it, right? You go buy it so you can watch it and keep watching it and watching it. I don't know, sometimes up to 5 times, because you enjoy that movie so much, because you enjoy that reality you can really relate to for some reason, or you just wish that reality to be a part of your life, a part of your maybe mundane, maybe boring reality, where nothing is really happening, or not much, you know, because you maybe don't see what's happening, or you don't want to see what's happening, and you don't want to be the active participant in it. So you, you know, sit in front of the screen and swallow and soak in whatever they give you. Now, why would that be so impossible to actually use props, inflate certain numbers, to justify the cause, you know, of the reality that you want other people to accept, so that your reality can stay untouched? Okay? Because there are certain pressures with our society expanding and becoming more advanced. Pressures on the people that are controlling it. And I'm not saying controlling it with a, you know, really bad, sinister intent. No, controlling it because they happen to be on top of that, you know, reality. They happen to be in charge of certain companies, you know, certain products, certain services that are, you know, distributed to our society. So you see, so it's really easy. You know, I don't, it's kind of hard to understand people being so naive that they don't question, you know, all this panic and paranoia that it's caused. Whereas, you know, if it was really about health, wouldn't they tell you, be around people you love. Do whatever it makes you really, really fulfilled and happy. Do that. Lots of such stuff. Don't be confined into small spaces. Go out, enjoy the world. The world is yours for the taking, right? Go out, get enough fresh air. God forbid you block your mouth and your nose. Oh my God, don't do that. Who the hell in their right mind would want to do that? That's torture. I mean, be free, breathe easy. Take your clothes off. Why you walk around with so many clothes? Relax. Be happy about yourself. Accept your life. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about dying. Don't worry about getting sick. Don't worry about that. That's misery. You don't need that. Look into happiness. Look into joy, right? Look for the things that, you know, make you feel light. They make you feel, you know, motivated, inspired, you know. Do not think of problems. Don't think of all this. Don't stress yourself. It's not good for you. Relax as much as you can. stay in peace, but also go out into the world and enjoy yourself. Explore what this is all about. Explore what your body is. Explore what your spirit is, right? Explore that inner voice that tells you, like, I want to experience this and that, and like, don't let anybody stop you. Wouldn't that be a happy society? You know? But of course, in order to do that, you can't have billions and billions of dollars. You can't have yachts and planes and cars, garages full of cars, and you can't have like a house here and a house there and a house there and a castle here and a temple here. You can't have that, because the more you take, if we're all taken from the same pot, then so many other people have less because of you. So how are they going to experience that? How are they going to be happy? How are they going to go out there if you don't want to share? See? But what you do is you throw some crumbs out there. Oh, have you a new phone? You know, it's perfect. Wow. You know, we already have a new one, but we first got to sell this one, which they'll be paying off for like a year or two. While we are already developing a much better version, but we're not going to put it out right now, because we're first going to make money with this one that it's already becoming redundant as we speak. And then once they're getting tied into debt, so they could have this, you know, old new phone, you know, then we release the new one, you know, and shock them again and push them into more debt, right? And make them very excited about, hey, you know, we have a new phone. So you see, they keep dropping crummies. And for that, we're on a hamster wheel. Whereas they are enjoying life with a big, big spoon. And not one, but many. Many at the same time. See? But in order for you to enjoy life just the way they would not be able to own any of those things, because they would have to share them. So the wait a second now. That's where this comes to, you know, to something that maybe even you don't want. That's where it comes to the actual, you know, idea of communism, and that we are all equal and all the same. Equal in the sense of nobody should own anything. So everything should be in the circulation for everybody to be able to try a bit of everything. Not that some have everything, trying everything possible on earth, whereas most, you know, are barely getting by, you know, trying some joy just a little bit to make them addicted, so you can keep them on that level where they always will feel miserable because they don't have this, and that. And they will always be on this wheel to try to find as much funds as possible, you know, breathing really hard because it's so much stress. So you can pay off this, so you can pay off that, so you can then finally have hope that you may get something more after that. But then again, you get trapped by that more. You see? That's like spreading crumbs into the world, crumbs to the rest of the world. Whereas they get to take everything that everybody makes, everything that everybody works for, and take it for themselves. And then say, hey, you know, come here, you miserable, you know, guy. Here you go. I just had a dinner, 5 steaks, you know, 7 loaves of bread, and 3 bottles of wine. Now here you go, a sip of wine, little tiny piece of steak. And then, yeah, you can have these, you know, crummies of the bread that are left here because we had such a feast. And then they tell you, you know, you should be happy. You know, you should be happy because, you know, you got this because we have it. Yeah, but where did you take it from? Wait a second. I mean, you have good ideas, I get it. Maybe these ones, the miserable guys, they don't have the ideas. They just are there like machines to produce those things that you get the ideas for. But what if they also have these ideas, but, you know, you were first, so because you were first, now you get to enjoy that, whereas they are just active participants in the progress and the production of them, whereas you basically enjoy them and they don't. They work for it, but they don't ever get to experience it. And for that, they would have to give up on the ownership of all these things and share them. And so nobody could own anything, yet everybody would be able to go, I don't know, today you try the Porsche, tomorrow I get it for 2 hours, and so on and so on. And we all participate in maintaining those products and those services that we all get to enjoy, right? So that would be fair. That would not be selfish. But until then, manipulation, conspiracies will always be present. Always, regardless. So you have to ask yourselves, does this right now really seem like somebody is trying to protect you? Or is it possible that somebody or some people just have enough, so many resources in many forms, resources in many forms, not just money, but resources in many forms, to the point that they can produce the reality they want you to believe in and disperse it out there and say, hey, catch it! It's happening! It's happening! This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do to fit in. And you do everything in order to fit in. Now what they don't tell you is that they don't ever need to fit in, because it's theirs. So whatever they do, they fit in. So what they do is usually not what they tell you to do. So now you will see conspiracies a little bit different, hopefully, and not be, so naive anymore. And if that helps you with understanding things, fine. Now, I don't mean to upset anybody to the point where you go out and you say like, oh my God, this guy's totally right. They're totally, destroying us. They're totally abusing us. Well, listen, they do because we allow it. You allow it. I allow it to a certain point. So just by knowing these things, just by being aware of them, these things can change. And it's not going to be bad for those guys. They think it's going to be bad, of course. They want to protect their benefits. They want to protect their comfort, their convenience. I get it. But at the same time, their lives are not as easy. Their lives are not as, fun as you think that they are. Because the true freedom is not where you can go and how much you have and what all you can do. The true freedom is only one. You know where it comes from and when you can experience it? When you are perfectly content with yourself, who you are, how you live, what kind of fulfillment you have in your life for yourself. And that does not come from material things. That does not come from how much you have and where you can go and who you can be with. That means you can sit down, completely relax in stillness, and have absence of desire, absence of goals to reach. And you simply are. Many times I just sit, in the middle of the night when everything is peaceful, when most people go to sleep, and everything is very still, everything is pretty quiet, and I just sit. Sometimes I have some relaxing music, and I just sit and contemplate on this interesting feeling of, mystical self. Just something in the vastness out there. Something not defined. Something not wishing for anything, but just enjoying itself. Just enjoying its own power. feeling powerful because I don't need anything in that moment. That moment itself is what spirituality and religions call eternity, because that moment itself is so precious that it feels like time stopped, everything stopped, nothing matters. And when people hear that, they sometimes think like, oh, that's so depressing. You gotta have goals, you gotta go out there, you gotta live life, It's like, that's what makes you unhappy. Because you always think you have to do something in order to be somebody, to be valued, to be something, right? Whereas you already are. Whether you do anything or not, whether you live today or die tomorrow, it doesn't even matter. Just you being you, in perfect stillness, detached from any worry, from any desire, because worries come with desires, you know that, right? All these goals, all these rush, in the Western world. You gotta have goals, Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now tell me. I don't know. I don't know where I see myself. Now, if that's my wife asking, I have to say I see myself somewhere, I don't want to disappoint her, right? I mean, if my mom is asking, we talk about certain things like that, and, she won't be disappointed if I say I don't know. If I say that to my wife, she's a woman. She would take that as a sign of weakness. She would take that as a sign of like, oh my God, you have no goals? Well, how are we going to live? Like, how are we going to, build anything together? It's like, and I try to reason with her, don't worry about it. We will build things that need to be built. It's like, I don't need to wish them. I don't need to be here and contemplate my whole entire life. How am I going to get there? It doesn't matter. I will always get where I need to get. You will always need to get where you get if, listen to this, if you will be 100% loyal to yourself, which means that every instinct within yourself you will follow and you will execute as much and as best as you can in that moment. All right? That way you will never worry about like, oh my God, I'm gonna, one day I'm gonna die. Who cares? If you die on a good day, when you know you finish these things, and you live like that every single day, then it doesn't matter if you go, right? I mean, yeah, you leave some people behind, but hey, eventually they will follow you wherever, you go. So, you see what I'm saying? So nothing is lost forever. And remember that, being with yourself, nurturing that peace, that stillness, and not being, burdened by what's going to happen tomorrow, how you're going to achieve certain things. Don't worry about it, because tomorrow doesn't happen now. And as cliche as that sounds, it's true. It's not happening now. So whatever is not happening now, it's really not a concern of yours. I mean, what if you went into your car, right, and you started driving and think like, oh my God, I'm going to get home. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, oh my God, you would go crazy. You wouldn't want to start driving. What if you had to predict every single thing that can happen, from